Oh, pitch the camera. Sorry, I'm very camera shy. And that's what this channel's not about. I never say, please subscribe, tell your friends. No, I want to be successful, just put pressure on me. I'm a fabricator, not a content maker. How's that? I love this flag with the, that's a 1933, there's a slight difference, or 32 and a half. Anyway, distracting. I've had to get our good camera, which is only a Lumix TZ99, but that's a good camera for us, because my TZ70, which was our good camera, suddenly died. So unfortunately there'll be shakiness in the video. I had not realised until just recently that the image stabilizer has failed, and even when you turn it off it continues to shake. So I've tried to make the best of the photos that I took, but it's more obvious on the video that you'll see coming up. So I'll just apologise for that. I don't make any money making these things, so it's just to share with family and friends. There's a few extras out there. Average video watch, 7.5 minutes. So I don't know why I go to the trouble, to be honest, but I sometimes want just a personal record for me, and that the video's kept somewhere off-site in case, house should burn down. Anyway, thought I'd lead out with that, and I'll just show you the next step. Time to do the A-pillar. So the last thing that we have to do to establish exactly the length of the doors, and it's the thing I've been putting off to last, just to make sure that I'm doing it the best way possible. Now, I have to move this weld seam here, which the seal sits on, has to move in 30 mil. So it has to move into there. So this whole pinch weld has to move across on an angle back to this point here, and then slowly taper in to 30 mil by the time it comes up the pillar. Because don't forget, this pillar here, that stays there, and a new one will come in front of it in line with that there, that will actually have the seal on it. And what it's going to do, it's going to line up with this part of the dash where the A-pillar used to come down to on the angle from up here. So I think that's a nice point. Now, what I've also been working out is exactly where the relationship of this is and where the defrost duct is, to make sure that currently the defrost ducts are over here, and I have to move them right back as far as I can. The only spot I've got is this spot here. I've got plenty of room on this side because I'm removing the airbag, but on that side it's got to sit between the instrument cluster and everything and other ductwork, so it has to come up in between to blow onto the back of the windscreen. So I've already been doing a lot of measuring using the laser line and everything to make sure that where the windscreen ends up, the defrost duct can come behind it, and have to determine where my A-pillar sits from that point on. So as you can see, there's a lot more involved than just going, where do I stick it? Because as you can see, this A-pillar is on an angle, and all the ones on all the pillars on the willies will be dead vertical, and because that's the shape of the door and that's where I want the hinges to sit in, etc, etc. So this determines here the curve and everything. When I just decided how to space this out right from the word go, the minimum distance that I can get in here for the door to sit there with the inner hardware and everything that has to sit holding all the inner panel, and then still be able to close your door, etc. All right, so progress. Hope in the right direction. So what I end up doing is to minimise how much I had to give as much room as possible, I end up welding on some thick metal strap, I think 6mm thick, and drilled and tapped it to take the same thread. This one here, you'll see, doesn't line up. I had to move them down 5mm, and that was because of these reinforcements. So I moved them down. Don't forget this is upside down at the moment. So, and then I've only can just get them in from there, but you know, hopefully you only have to do it a couple of times during assembly, well, to try it out, or who knows, maybe once more. So, easy side done. I'm not sure if I can use the same technique on this side. Easily here, so I'll start by moving that one over. But these ones here, as you can see, there's no way that I can move that over 25mm. So I'll have to look into that. I might have to move this hole up and then make a new tag for that one in the corner, something like that. But I thought, let's make a start and do what you know you can do, and then I'll move on from there. We'll see what happens. Right, so what have I found? I've cut these little pieces off that were in here, because they're going to have to come off anyway. And what I've found with the measuring is that it's got to come in to there. So 25mm in from that hole inwards. The closest I can get to this point, that's that tube that runs from one side all the way to the other, is just here. Either right through that weld or right over there. So I don't know if I should just build up a bit of weld in this corner here so I've got a nice flat surface, or if I go right in the corner, the washer would spread that easily anyway, so it's not a big deal from that point of view. And the other one ends up in this corner right there, so I'd be putting the bolt in from there. So same deal there. I don't know if to add a little bit of weld there to flatten that out to give a better basis for the thing without setting anything alight. Trying to avoid. I'll have to remount that duct somehow, because the plate that's going to support this will come right through that part there. So this part of the upper bracket is going to be in the way. So unfortunately, I can't see any way to get that any higher, to get it away from here and not interfere with that. But I can plastic weld that together and make a new mount for it. Can always cut it off, turn it around that way and put it in from there. It's also a possibility. Mounting the duct is the least of my worries. Structural, always first. Top one's pretty easy. I can't go directly across because I'll be right on the edge, so I'll just come down and it will sit right in the middle there. So, well, physically up, and we'll go in place there. So that these things are all these mounts are actually ending up stronger than they were because they're closer to the support to start with and not further out. Like some things you tend to overanalyze in your mind, and I was trying to keep the same hole spacing and everything. I'm thinking, well, I don't actually have to. There's no need. I've got the full 30mm cut off that I need, and I had to, as you can see, widen the pattern quite a bit. because of this support for that main tube that goes through here. So if anything, it is in a better position because it's clamping straight in, and this one here had to just move down a little bit and then get into that little pocket. I had to do the same on the other side. I built up the weld here so I had a nice flat face where the two materials came together. I just put some weld in there to build it up, and so that's done. So I've also got the mounts. You can see well, that's the penetration showing through, but they're just simple 6mm flat bar that have been drilled and tapped, and you can see here's the original mounts, here's where the new ones are, so they've just spread each side, and this one had to come up a little bit to fit in that little pocket there. So when this moves across 30mm, these are over 30mm, so everything should clear, and the dash should come in right next to where this flange will be, which will actually be sitting here somewhere ahead of it. So the next thing to do is these two floating nuts here were the top column mount, and that's this big member here. So I can't get to that because you've got to remember that this was accessed through a removable grill where your defrost ducts are, but my windscreen, you can see that there in relationship to the firewall, because the windscreen came down to here like that. Well, actually a little bit forward of that, and then that was accessed through the defrost ducts, and then you'd click those in place. But the front of my windscreen is here, so I'm nowhere near that. There's no way, without having a lift-off panel in the top of the cowl, could I get to these two bolts. So I've got to come up with some way. I've just been thinking of it lying in bed last night, and what I think I will do is I'm going to mount through this weld seam here, which is really strong, and you've got bracing here even from your brake booster, and make a bracket that I can then, once the dash is in, that bracket from that column will sit on top of here, and then I can bolt up from the underside here and then secure that column in place, just to make sure that there's no flex in it. So I'm going to come off, I have to template out, I'll make brackets that come off the side here and then sit off to the side so I can somehow get in there. So I'll have to try and access the bolt all the way through here to this point here. So what I'll do is I'll make sure, because this is upside down, that I can get my hand through there to do it. I'm still not sure if that's going to be physically possible, because I can't go through there. So maybe I will have to make sure that I can get my hand through to that spot. So I can put location pins in and it'll just sit on those, and your flexes can't go down. But yeah, I'm going to have to make sure that I can find this area even blindly to put the bolts in. So if this was sitting as a flange here, can I get my hand through there, even if I have to maybe remove this column, get my hand in and then put it back in again. That's maybe what I'll have to do to access these two bolts. Yeah, I think that might be the only way I can do it. I can't think of any other way. If you think this is going to be all sealed off, so I can't get to the back of these bolts just here from the firewall unless I had a little, well, that might be a possibility, an access plate here, and I put these floating clips on here instead, and then I can bolt up through there. See, I'm thinking out aloud here. That might be a better way of going about it. I'll see. Alright, that's what a lot of time goes. Just threw this board up quickly. This is let me think. This is where the windscreen is going to come down. It's just in front of that. This is where the main A-pillar will come up here. But it actually tapers forward, and then the glass will actually sit about here. But that's how much of the dash is going to be covered. And I'm not sad about that. The more that's covered of that plastic, the better. So you only see a little bit of it. Just check from this side here, because this is where I can. This is the only spot I can bring the defrost duct up. As you can see here. On this side, I'll be removing the airbag, and it can come up through there. And on this side, it has to come in between those two there. So this is where it comes out. This is the little defroster for the side windows, and the main defrost duct is these ones here. So I have to somehow divert from there and then come up somewhere through there, down that way. Just to come out through there, down there. As you can see, there's a lot in the way. So that's going to be an interesting exercise to get these main defrost ducts here to come out effectively down there. So it's going to be fun, to say the least. End up being a simple solution to hold the upper steering column mount in, because it's too awkward to get through here because this will be covered. Being away on holidays and sometimes just thinking about it makes it easier. I've just got some simple L brackets that go down and bolt through that pinch flange that's under there. It's a little hard to see black on black. I've only been able to weld so far what I can reach from the top, but when I pull the dash back out I can finish welding it off. And with the steering column out, it's easily accessible. I don't know if you can point it up. Anyway, it's easily accessible through the top there. In fact, I was using that hole there from the inside and just screwing it in and out. So yeah, simple solution. Sometimes you have time to think about something and simplify it, and got a nice double A here to secure to, because you've got to imagine with the steering column in an impact, that force is trying to push it down. So that's what this is, upper one is there to control, and that is doing just as good a job as the top mounts ever did. So happy with that. Can go on with trying to build the A-pillars.